As you may remember, I think rather highly of Fooly Cooley. I enjoyed watching it for the first time. It was almost like I had discovered a part of myself I didn't know existed. I've enjoyed it all subsequent times I've watched it as well, and I've always noticed new details and things that escaped me before. Fooly Cooley has been around for over 2 decades at this point, and it has aged like wine. Additionally, as you may remember, in 2018 there were 2 sequels to the original Fooly Cooley. Fooly Cooley Progressive and Fooly Cooley Alternative. And if you're anything like me, all that you remember about the 2 sequels starts and ends with their titles, as there was essentially nothing interesting about them in the slightest. There were no lingering questions from the original that were answered. There was no groundbreaking story that demanded to be told, and if I really forced myself to think, the only positive aspect is that the Pillows, the rock band that did the soundtrack in the original, returned to make more music. So what precisely makes these sequels so utterly reprehensible? In short, it's the cynicism. Fooly Cooley was about growing up and all the potential that comes along with it slowly being transformed into reality. Life can be anything so long as you make the effort to mold it. Naota, who is cynical about life and adults even at his young age, is disabused by his interactions with Haruko. Even if he doesn't make a 180-degree change in attitude, he certainly does change and grows to complement it, and learns that he doesn't necessarily need to take himself seriously all the time. Even from the outset, when Fooly Cooley Progressive and Fooly Cooley Alternative were merely announcements to be salivated over by those prone to nostalgia-induced blindness, they were made cynically. The cynical use of characters who started and ended their journey years ago, now used only for the recognition their names and likenesses bring, made not even by just a cynical mind, as that would be far too optimistic, but by a cynical collective in a boardroom, intent only on making money by bilking it from those who enjoyed the original without supplying anything approaching the quality of the original. And speaking of cynical cash grabs for beloved things that are accompanied by a precipitous drop in quality, we come to the odious topic of Fooly Cooley grunge. Based off the 10-second teaser released by Adult Swim, I can say with no irony that Progressive and Alternative were done in good taste and made with love in comparison to grunge. The character model shown in the trailer is utterly typical of those who seek to leech off the success of others. It is ugly, and the art style has been watered down to ease production at the explicit cost of resembling the original work or appealing to the original fans. In a sense, this is the ultimate insult. No small part of the legacy of the original Fooly Cooley was the animation. Sometimes it was typical anime fare, sometimes it aped the style of other forms of animation, sometimes it was wild and absurd, but it was never flat and dull, which is what the trailer is. The animation has no weight behind it and no sense of momentum. What is ostensibly an action shot feels dull and looks lifeless. However, perhaps the part of the trailer that most offended my sensibilities was the music. They reused Ride On Shooting Star from the original, which you might recognize as the ending theme. Once again, they have banked on all the good points of the original to sell their soulless approximation. Even Progressive and Alternative had original music. They gain points for that, even if the points are immediately subtracted, since the pillows were employed to induce nostalgia and not for their own merits. The trailer for Fooly Cooley Grunge can't even manage the merest spark of originality. As things stand, Fooly Cooley Grunge does nothing new, even when doing something new would be at most 10 seconds of new audio. And in doing nothing new, it further besmirches the original Fooly Cooley in a way I didn't dare think might be possible after the homogenized sludge of Progressive and Alternative. Just to put a fine point on things, the original Fooly Cooley was about growing up. Part of growing up is to accept that the past is as it is, and not as we would have liked it to be, and to move on from it in either case. Progressive, Alternative, and now grunge wallow in the past and are incapable of moving beyond it, for without it they are quite literally nothing, as nothing they do is done on their own merit. Even if grunge didn't look awful and did something vaguely original, it would still be damned by virtue of its very existence being contrary to the work it leeches off of. I understand that creating things is hard. Nothing can ever be truly original, and most things aren't likely to be good. I've created my fair share of things, and I wouldn't gamble on the public at large enjoying them. But speaking from my point of view, I'm infinitely more willing to be charitable to an original work made sincerely and with love than to the umpteenth reboot, reimagining, or unnecessary sequel.